it's I wouldn't say upsetting per se, but man, it allowed a lot of people who would not inside information per se when it comes to games being sold, because most of that information is very tightly knit. We don't know that information when it comes to like how many games were sold in terms of like, you know, money wise. Like we always got copies, and that's kind of a way to figure things out. But let me bring up the article real quick. So this was first, it was first tweeted out, and I got the article afterwards. But this is from Steam Spy. Valve just made a change to their privacy settings, making games owned by Steam users hidden by default. Steam Spy relied on his information being visible by default and won't be able to operate anymore. He then followed up with a response to Eurogamer.net, written by Chris Pratt, where it asked him several questions as far as like, you know, his thoughts, you know, what's going to happen, and so on, and going forward. So I'll just go down to the myriad of questions he was asked. Did you get the feeling that this change has happened because of Steam Spy? In regards to the change, he responds, I really don't know. For a moment, I was thinking that was related to GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation laws, going live in Europe in May. But if they wanted to be compliant with those laws, they should have hidden all profile information. Right now, they have sensitive information exposed by default, and only the game libraries are hidden. It doesn't really make sense. And I'll read the question here. And hang on. Okay, so does that suggest that the update was in fact targeting Steam Spy? He responds, I mean, there are easier ways to block Steam Spy. If I understand correctly, what they did also broke the ability for players to join their friends in games because they can't see who owns what. I think if they wanted to shut down Steam Spy, they would have taken an easier route. So, it's, and for those who don't know, Steam Spy, what it was essentially, it would indicate how many players were playing the game, what was the total peak hours in 24 hours when it was launched, when it was last 24 hours when it was being played, statistics on a game as it's live on the Steam platform. And this new update that Steam's rolling out is making it so like that tool is no longer going to be able to be used. So it really sucks. It really sucks for a lot of people.
I have a question. What was the point of being able to use it? Like, why was it necessary?
It was for why I can't talk tonight. The point of being
Tonight?
The point of it was able to track stats on games and able to find out how.
Yeah, but why is that important? Like why, like if you're not pressed, so I don't understand the necessity in that.
Game developers have come out and said that they were disappointed that was happening. I know that Mike Z from from Lab Zero was not happy when that was announced, just because like he was able to keep tracks of his own game. And I'm not quite sure as far as like I'm not quite sure when it comes to if you're a game developer and you don't have the information with you, in terms of like how it's doing in the wild, other than the fact that you may ask a certain platform.
Well, couldn't you get the stats from Steam elsewhere for your own game?
I don't know. I do
like
not.
I imagine that you could. I imagine that if you're like,
yeah.
Hey, I like the numbers on the sales of my game, like you could do that.
Right.
I'm just having a hard time understanding the point.
Well, it always tracked the games in terms of like what information was detailed.
No, I get what it was doing. I get what its functionality was. My question, Anthony, is why is it such a bad thing that it's being shut down?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because, well, in terms of media, in terms of game developers, like it basically was a way to see how successful a game was. Again, going back to like, there isn't.
But there are other ways to do that.
by copies. Like the only way you can find that out is like when a company comes out and says like, hey, we sold 2 million copies of this game, or we sold 1 million copies of this game, when they rely on their word for it. The game industry, when it comes to keeping their information, keeps them tight knit. They don't particularly detail as far as like how much this game has made and how successful it is. And they always.
It seems like to me, Anthony. It seems like to me that Anthony. Like, here's the thing: that Game Spy, anybody could access information through Game Spy or through Steam Spy. Anybody, I said Game Spy. Fucking stupid company still in my brain. That Steam Spy could be accessed via anybody. And that if I wanted to figure out exactly how many copies the Goo made on Steam, or however much information, I could totally go and use that and see it. Correct? As just a user of Steam.
Anybody can, with the Steam Spy up. Yeah, anybody can look up the information.
Okay, so I can't do that on any other service. That's not possible for me to do.
As of right
now,
no.
Right. So, if I, as a developer of World of Goo, and I contact Steam in a professional email and a business email, and I say, I'd like the game stats for World of Goo since we made that game. Now, will Steam give me that information or not?
I don't know, honestly.
No, they will. My point is they will, Anthony. They have to. Legally, they have to. As long as it's the information for your company. So I'm just curious as to why, outside of being a developer, why it's a bad thing. And then even on the inside of being a developer, why it's a bad thing.
There may be something that I don't know, because like, from my inkling in terms of like how this whole process works, at least with the Steam Spy, like it gave stats to everybody can freely track. There might be a whole thing with Steam and saying that, yes, I want to request statistics on my game, and there might be this huge rigmarole of like going through hoops and bounds to find information from Valve.
If that's the case, I get it. I want the answer to that. Yeah. I'm not getting that answer right now.
Right. And I personally don't know. Maybe I should have looked into it a bit more myself on the story. But I know that was widely used. That Steam Spy was widely used by a lot of people within the media, but also a lot of people within the game industry at large, from developers.
I get it. Like if you're trying to figure out, like as a press guy, how many copies a certain game has sold, it's a lot easier to probably use Steam Spy than to send a professional email. I get it. But at the end of the day, if you're a multi-platform seller, why is this one little thing going to bother you? Because I don't think it's that big of a deal to make that big of a deal about it. At least from my perspective, It sounds that way. So I'm just saying, like, if there's information I don't have, please tweet it at me. Like, please let me know, because I don't know. Like, send me that article, Anthony, because I will read the shit out of that and I will get more information. But I'm just saying, like, even with like YouTube videos, sure, you can see how many people have viewed it and you can see if those thumbs up and thumbs down, but you can't look at the analytics unless it's your video. Okay. So I'm just saying, like, it seems like this is back to the whole complaining to complain.
Right. I will read this one part real quick in terms of like on this article at the beginning, the top, which may have been an influence on the decision from Valve, but not too completely sure. And again, take this with a grain of salt. At first glance, this appears to be Valve's initial response to the huge privacy scandal surrounding Facebook's relationship with British political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica. We've asked Valve for comment. However, these changes have also led to potentially unexpected side effect